So he just swallowed Red Riding Hood. The woodcutter was getting on in years. Although he wasn't as spry as he once was, and his joints creaked as he walked, he could still swing an axe, still whistle a tune, and still feel flutters of affection in his heart when he saw a pretty face. One pretty face that made his heart flutter more than any other. The lovely lady in question was a widow who lived alone in the forest. She loved to knit and baked the most delicious cakes. And though she was no spring chicken herself, to the woodcutter her beauty was timeless, and he would find any excuse he could to pay her a visit. Who do you think he's talking about? The woodcutter straightened his shirt, shouldered his axe, and stepped up to the cottage door. He waited. Any moment he would hear, as he always did, her musical voice call, "Who is it?" But he heard only silence. All at once he was struck with fear. What if something had happened to her? He lifted the latch and threw the door open. "Anyone home? It's only me, the woodcutter." For a moment he stared at the scene inside. Everything looked much as it always did. There was even a basket of cakes and flowers, as if the lady's granddaughter, Red, had paid her a visit. But one thing was very, very wrong. On the bed lay a figure in a frilly nightgown and a cap. It had big furry ears and furry hands and sharp white teeth. It only took the woodcutter a moment to work out what had happened. "You beast!" he roared and raised his axe. The wolf's eyes shot open, but before he had time to scream or roll away, the woodcutter's axe whoosh, swished down and sliced his belly open. Out jumped Granny and Red. Now there's a surprise. "You saved us!" they cried, and they threw their arms around the woodcutter, and Granny even gave him a kiss on each cheek, which made him blush. The woodcutter held the wolf down, while Red filled up his belly with rocks. Finally, Granny sewed him up. The stones rattled inside the wolf as he stood up. "How am I supposed to eat?" Oh, no, that's not his voice, is it? "How am I supposed to eat?" cried the wolf. "The whole forest will hear me coming." "That will teach you to eat an old lady," Granny muttered to the groaning wolf. "Now, be off with you and don't come back." The wolf, clutching onto his full belly, limped from the cottage as quickly as he could. He hobbled out to the forest without a second glance back at Granny's cottage. "What I want to know is, how on earth did he find you?" asked the woodcutter, cleaning his axe. "I met him in the forest," explained Red, and she explained all about how the wolf had tricked her into telling him where Granny lived. "But, Red, hasn't your mother ever told you not to speak to strangers?" asked Granny in disbelief. "Oh, Mother tells me all sorts of things. Not to dilly-dally, not to leave the path. I don't know what she thinks might happen." "Perhaps she thinks you'll be eaten by a wolf," remarked the woodcutter. "Oh!" said Red, as it dawned on her that the woodcutter was right. "I suppose she might have a point. Granny, I almost forgot. Mother sent you a basket of cupcakes." So Granny boiled a kettle, and between them, Red, Granny, and the woodcutter ate up the delicious cupcakes that Red's mother had baked, and they all lived happily ever after. The end. We'll find out what the next bit is next.